don't know if a governing body is the right thing, but it definitely needs some kind of regulation.
I mean, those situations are a little bit different. Like, like Pete Rose. I mean, you can name some like a bunch of different instances, like in sports, where that person was throwing games and betting on games. That same
Yeah,
person is benefiting. In this
yeah,
case, there are victims in this for sure, who are the players, right?
sure.
And that's where it's like really, really terrible, in my opinion. And in this particular case, it drove somebody to jump off a building, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
thankfully he survived. Thankfully
yeah.
he landed in a recycle container or whatever, and ended up surviving. But I mean, that wasn't the intent of jumping off the building, so would have ended up in a death most likely. And I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
You
if you look at the success of CS:GO Lounge,
Mhm.
which is not betting necessarily for real money, but it's
Yeah,
betting,
sure.
and you win guns and what have you. It is a massive thing right now in CS:GO.
Hmm.
There is a Swedish betting site now that actually allows you to bet on esports. Paddy Power have done some stuff in the past. I think from memory, two or three other big companies have investigated esports and have done sporadic esports betting. So it's right on the fringes of it, and I guess it's not that long before we find something that actually takes all of this to the next level, and
How
that's
do you
great in my opinion.
how do you feel about like how would you feel about an alcohol company sponsoring like an esports team?
That's
Uh,
interesting.
I'm fairly indifferent to it. I think it's like, how do I feel about JPS sponsoring a Formula One team in the '80s? I had no issue with it, but they sell cigarettes, which
Maybe
allegedly kill
okay,
people
maybe
over
that
time.
was
So
probably that was a bad question to ask
Uh,
you because you're European, I think.
I've
The
actually helped alcohol teams, alcohol company sponsor teams in the past, and they have.
one of the
It,
one of the problems in America though, and like I understand what you're saying, where you guys are saying like you'd be cool with it, and this isn't a slight against Europe at all, or if anything, it's a slight against America. Is that we still have really backwards attitudes on things like gambling and on things like gambling and like tobacco and alcohol and
yeah,
stuff. And I
I
think if
think
you
what you were
start to
trying to get
mix
at,
that up, if you start mixing
I
it up
think I
with
get
games,
you.
then it becomes like a PR
Yeah.
nightmare.
I think I get you. It would be akin to me saying, how do I feel about a gun making company sponsoring an esports team in England? And I would be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
whoa,
exactly.
holy shit, that's really bad. But
Yeah,
in
you'd be like, I
Texas,
don't
they'd
want
be
my
like,
kids associated with this
right,
bullshit.
exactly.
Like, I don't want
But
my
in
kids playing a game with
Texas,
it. Yeah,
they'd be fine with it. They'd think there was
yeah,
nothing
like
wrong with that.
sure.
Well, they'd be like, well, what's the problem with that? So yeah, I do see your point. I think we have to be sensitive. We do have a very um, young demographic. I mean, we're talking about 14-year-olds through mid-20s, I guess, is the main core demographic of most games, except for World of Tanks. But and we do have a responsibility, I think, to those people, to those young people that are under 16, because that's the law in some countries, under 18, because that's the law in other countries, and under 21, because that's the law for
Right.
drinking in the US. So I think there's,
Yeah.
again, some of it comes to, esports is such a non-boundaried sport. We have zero boundaries. We have the internet, so we're good to rock and roll wherever
I
we want.
don't know if I would agree with
But
that.
I mean,
This is coming from
where
somebody
we
who
definitely
from the
have
guy that
boundaries.
just made the decision to get rid of Thorin from the event due to his remarks. I wouldn't say we're
Oh,
zero
there we go.
boundaries. I mean, that's
There
not
we go.
necessarily fair today. We still have
No,
to
I
exist
think,
within the
and that's
boundaries
what
of
I've
what
just
like
made the point.
cultures,
That's
etc.
exactly the point I just made. Is that we don't have boundaries that other sports have, for instance, over the world. But we definitely have some other boundaries to consider. One of those is age restrictions, because in the UK it's fine to drink when you're 18. Absolutely fine. It's completely legal. It's legal in Holland to smoke weed when you're 16, so that's fine. But in the States, it's not, and in other places, it's not okay to drink until you're 21. So, you're right, and I think we definitely
Sure.
have a responsibility to people to try and make sure. But then I suppose you could argue the same with pizza. Is pizza good for you? Probably not. Is it bad for you? Well, it's not as bad as smoking or drinking, but I suppose if you eat enough of it, it's probably bad for you. But does that mean we stop a pizza company sponsoring an esports team?
Yeah,
Probably not.
it's just, and I mean,
this,
I don't
sorry,
watch
sorry, Steven.
I don't watch
I
enough.
was just gonna,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say,
Go
no,
ahead.
I'm gonna make this point. I'm gonna make this point. We've talked about ethical sponsors numerous times in esports and how we can have a more ethical background. The reason I'm blacklisted by Evil Genius is because I've got to get that obligatory mention in every show that I do. It is because I wrote an article saying Papa John's with their healthcare policies towards their employees and how they tried to effectively bully them to vote a certain way because they didn't want Obamacare to get in, right? I wrote that article, and that's what I got blacklisted for saying we should have an environment where sponsors are ethically sound, where we don't just drop our drawers to whoever's got the money. And, you know, but this is the problem with that. If you expand that logic, I think this industry would have a lot of problems. Because, for example, can you say the headset company that you've given the most money to down the years doesn't have sweatshops in, you know, Malaysia or China? Can you say that their products are ethically made? If you follow the logic to the end of the rainbow, you know, it's got to be. I'm just saying it's going to have to be a case-to-case basis because otherwise there'd be no money in esports at all.
Yeah,
sure.
So sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, no.
So one of the things, the aftermath of all this, right, was a lot of the charity drives for, you know, Promise, and you know, some of the teams, some of the streamers, they all, you know, decided to do, or in some way donate or set up something where they would you know, raise money, right, for Promise. And, you know, for instance, TSM I think raised like 15,000 or something through I guess the selling of their T-shirts. Like 100% of it went to, you know, just to this cause. But I think some of them didn't give 100%. And Steven, I think you had an issue with some of this, or just maybe some of the streamers that were doing this. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on all this, and, you know, what in particular you had a problem with.
Can we do Richard and ReDeYe first?
Okay, all right. That means Steven has a lot to say, basically. So, Paul, your thoughts on basically, you know, folks only giving 50% of the you know, revenue made or whatever, just the profits made from selling merch or something like that to this cause.
I have a fairly indifferent view on this, and it's mainly because what people do with their money is up to them. I mean, if you want to buy something, buy it, you know, and then who it goes to after that. I suppose if it's sold on the basis that you're supporting a particular action,
that's kind of what
then it's different. Yeah, so it is different, but as long as it's clear, I don't mind how they do it. My issue would mainly be obtaining that amount of money through. Sounds a bit strong, but it's deception, effectively. And if you're going to deceive someone and then do something different with their money, then that's not only unethical, but it's probably against the law in some countries as well, somewhere.
Yeah. Richard, how about you?
I mean, obviously we're referring, aren't we, to the Promise?
Yeah, we Promise. Just
fundraisers.
24-hour streams and.
Well, look, man. I think
going.
the first thing we need to say is, right, it's a logical fallacy to say that you can't do a good deed and it can, you know, have selfish motivations as well. I don't think all good deeds need to be absolutely altruistic in that they only serve the person you're doing the deed for and serve no function for yourself. I think if you accept that, then you can be okay with a lot of this stuff. But let's be absolutely clear. While I'm sure the league community came together and felt deeply sorry for what had happened to Promise and all wished him well and have rallied round, there did seem to be an element of people trying to one-up each other as to who could do the most good. And everyone immediately, very quickly capitalized on the situation happening. I saw someone streaming for his healthcare benefit bills within about 6 hours of it happening. I'm not too certain that the many streamers that followed all necessarily had that person's best interests at heart. I've also got to say as well, there was one-upmanship from the big organizations. CLG came in at 50% of all merchandise sold using the Promise code. We'll go to the Promise. Then TSM went, fuck you, boom, we're TSM, 100%. Right? Now, again, that's amazing, right? But doesn't that feel a bit marketing driven to anybody else? Now, I'm not saying they're not doing great work, and I hope his bills get paid because I know it's going to be hella expensive, and, you know, no one should be left having a worry about having to pay for healthcare bills in general, let alone just after they've tried to kill themselves, and they're probably going to be feeling lots of guilt, lots of internal emotions. That's only going to be exacerbated by more worry and more concern. But I got to say, there was an air of cynicism about it for me. That's just being honest.
All right, Steven, you're up.
Okay, so everything that all of us know here, that absolutely everything you do in your life, whether you like it or not, is marketing. Everything is marketing. There's no such thing as non-marketing, right? Thorin learned it the last week when he was on Unfiltered. There's no point in time where you can just turn off marketing and go, well, what I'm doing this week, like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It doesn't work like that when you're a public figure. Every single thing you do is marketing, right? We all know that. So going into that, I have no problem with people using situations, leveraging situations to their advantage to increase their fame, as long as you're upfront about it. Like, there are people that, like, I fucking do it sometimes. I did it with the Twitch Plays Pokemon thing. After I realized how many viewers I could get, there were a couple times where, like, I went back and I fucked with them a little bit for fun, because I knew that if I did it, I'd bump up to, like, 4,000 or 5,000 viewers doing it. Like, I'll freely admit that. Like, it was funny. The publicity was funny, and the interaction was really entertaining to me. Not the first couple times I did it, but later on I did it a couple times because it was funny to me. But the problem that I had, this is really awkward. I don't know if he's watching or not right now. I'm hoping not. He did message me on Skype a little bit to talk about it a little bit, but the Wicked guy, and I don't know how many others are doing it. The problem that I had was that clearly there are things that are popular in communities at certain points in time. I've talked about it before. You ride the jerk wave, right? If you ride the jerk wave and you get the right content on top of that, it's propelled into fucking infinite money, right? Good money comes from riding the jerk wave. When I see some guy tries to kill himself and there's this whole fucking thing going on, and somebody throws up a stream going, I am now going to do a 4-hour stream in dedication to this hugely popular event where I donate the ad revenue to the person for that day, like, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because, one, it's a pretty big marketing ploy. Like, that's a huge positive marketing. You should deny that. If you deny that, you're living in a fantasy world. Two, ad revenue is a very small percentage of the amount of the money that they're making. So it's like, it would be like doing an event for, like, in dedication to some tragedy that happened, and you make like $10,000 off the event, and then you donate like $500, and it's like you know how people always complain about, like, there was a recent story, the Lady Gaga Donation Institute, like, raised like $14 million, but they only donated like $200,000 to charity after all the expenses were paid, and a lot of people are like, oh well, people just use that for nepotism to to transfer money to their family and shit, whatever, stuff like that. So when I see somebody put up a stream like that, and like, oh, like, well, coming off this hugely popular thing that everybody's talking about, this kind of a tragedy, I'm going to go ahead and just host a stream where I'm getting positive PR, new subscribers, a ton of fucking goodwill from the community, more people talking about me, et cetera, all goes into the PR thing. And then I'll donate, like, the ad revenue that I make for these few hours to that person. Like, it's like the cheapest and most effective advertising you can buy. But, and it sounds a little hypocritical coming from me, it feels a little bit unethical. Like, I don't know, that's it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I probably wouldn't hate a person that did that, but, like, you can see, I guess, coming from my point of view, like, you can kind of see how that feels like a little bit dirty, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think we were a million miles off in terms of our assessment. It's like you say, I just think, it's probably better that happens than nothing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's the other hallmark of the esports community, is to do fuck all, to not care, which raises its own separate issues, like what makes something worth donating to and something that doesn't. I remember Paul will be able to actually verify this. Paul, there was a CSGO player who lost both his legs. Not a big name or anything, but he lost both his legs in a car accident in Russia. And Paul had the temerity to suggest, first of all, hey, maybe we could give this guy some money. Second of all, some of this money that's going into esports through buying the keys and all of this extra cash we had about, just maybe someone could do a good deed with it. Maybe, not saying you have to. And Paul got lambasted for that. Absolutely lambasted. Which strikes me as the real rotten hypocrisy. People actually saying to Paul, how dare you bring this good, potential good deed to our attention? Why should we make a donation? Not like, why should we force you to do it? Just why would we? Why should we? And it blew my mind.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Yeah, I mean, they were quite happy to donate money so that we could send 250 grand to a tournament so that we give it away to the players.
Exactly, right.
But they weren't happy at making the same payment to buy the same thing, where just a small, I wasn't talking large, just a small amount of money might go to help this guy pay for some of his medical bills because he'd lost his legs.
Yeah, the community's kind of weird that way sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
and then another guy who plays StarCraft 2, who doesn't have any arms or any legs,
Yeah,
and is a remarkable human being. And then people give him grief because they say he's trying to make money out of a stream, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand the world sometimes, and that's partly what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem to be very
thoughts,
strange, and I think Stephen hit the nail on the head. It's like if you don't ride that circle jerk wave, and you're not wrapped up in it, you're never going to know which way to go. I've got no doubt that tomorrow I'm going to be criticized by some people. Like I already saw it in the chat. Like, how dare I say TSM was displaying one-upmanship by giving 100% off when CLG had done 50% before them, which is exactly what happened. But this is just what I mean. It's like in an alternate universe, as crazy as it sounds, it wouldn't have been beyond the realms of possibility that no one would have given a shit and no one would have done anything, because you just never know what you're going to get with the esports community. It just seems so fad driven, like
let's
that's
again
the truth
again. Let's not forget, total $20,000 was raised, for him. So
that's good.
In the end, good things did result in it, and that was still the basis of it all. Yeah, all the other exposure and stuff, it's definitely another product of it all. But hopefully he's able to recover. Promise is able to recover, and like you said, pay his medical bills, because it's probably gonna be more than $20,000. Honestly, you know how it is, man. Just
holy shit, it is. Yeah.
If their hospitals are anything like ours, the way, and our hospitals charge so much for even just staying in the ER for like a day or two, so I can't even imagine. But all right, well, why don't we just take a few questions and then we'll call it a day. And so what I'm going to do, guys, this time around is I'm going to have the subscribers in this channel kind of ask their questions. Maybe take about 2 of them from the subscribers, and then we'll go to the Reddit thread. But I want to make sure the subscribers get a chance to ask their questions today. But while we wait for that, there is a question for... Oh gosh, I just lost it. Okay, so there is a question kind of for you, Paul, and I know, Richard, you had some thoughts on this too, but Velocity 101 asks, what are your views on ESL's decision to keep League of Legends and Dota separate? I guess on separate products, I guess that's the thing, versus just being on the same. And I think there's been some talk about whether Riot would even allow you to have it on the same product, Paul, or if that was even any restriction like that.
Okay, so there's been this myth for a while, that we don't do Dota because we do League of Legends, and I want to explode that myth right now, because it's not the truth. We currently work in conjunction with Riot on League of Legends. We currently have League of Legends on Intel Extreme Masters. That's our choice. We decide which 2 games go into IEM. Obviously, we take advice, and we talk to Intel, and we talk to our partners, and what have you. But we've also supported Dota all of last year. We gave over $150,000 away last year in EMS1 to Dota alone, okay? Which rivals the amount of money we also gave League of Legends, bar the World Championship as a sole event. So to say that we don't support Dota and League simultaneously is completely wrong. To say that we don't put them on the same event is true. Now, it's not because Riot said to us, you can't put Dota on at the same time, or because Valve said you can't put League on at the same time. It's because we are in business, and we are not going to piss off one of our main partners by putting one of our rival partners' game on at the same time. It's no business sense whatsoever. So, of course, we're not going to commit business suicide by alienating both of the publishers. We're going to try and keep them both happy and deliver what they want. Plus, the communities are very different, very different. I mean, we run a Dota event, we run a League event, completely different crowd, totally different crowd. So, yes, when we've come to do ESL 1 Frankfurt, we wanted to make it special. We wanted to make it round 1 game, and we've done it around Dota 2 because Dota 2 didn't get into the IEM for the World Championships and have the kind of experience that we had just this weekend ago. But that's what we're going to try and recreate for ESL 1 in Frankfurt. Hopefully that answers the question.
Richard, I know you had some comments in the past about it.
Yeah, just a little point. I mean, first of all, in terms of the publishers kind of dictating what goes on, to use it plural is pretty ridiculous because it's all Riot. I mean, we've seen Riot's history of insecurity is colossal. And while I'm, I don't want to go into the ins and outs of whether they've explicitly said this or contracted that. We all know that Riot, in an ideal world, they would destroy every other game. Like, they talk about how much they love games. When I say that, actually, they would destroy every other game within the esports space and dominate it tomorrow if they could. And certainly that's the impression I've got from interacting with them. And certainly I think that's the impression most people have got. I mean, whether we need to go back to the point where they were interviewing organizations, which of course came out, and they were saying if you have a Dota team, you can't have a Dota team, you can have a LoL team if you want to be an LCS. An organization said, no, we're not going for that. To the recent contracts where it was like, we don't want you to stream other games on the Twitch channels that you own and that you've built up, because we're trying to make out we've made you a celebrity, not you, not your personality. I find them massively insecure, and certainly not people who care about esports holistically. That said, I love their game. And I think, for me, Intel Extreme Masters is a brand that I associate with excellence. I want to see the best titles, whatever, be it Dota, League of Legends, whatever the best and most prestigious esports titles are at any given time. That's what I want to see at IEM. And I think it's a crying shame that because of whatever, we may not get to see that. And certainly I understand exactly what Paul has said, and it reiterates what Carmack said in his On Gamers interview, which is they've got an ethical obligation to not shit on their business partners and their investors, and obviously it's smart as well, it's intelligent. But I just wish having Dota and LoL side by side wasn't considered to be shitting on them, because I don't see why ultimately it should be, and I certainly know Valve wouldn't care. So, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I don't think it's about shitting on them, Richard. I think it's about just having a bit of common sense when it comes to dealing with partners and understanding that the two crowds are very different. If anything ever happened at an esport event where, say for instance at Intel Extreme Masters over the weekend, one half of the crowd was there for League, one half was for Dota. I don't know if a fight would break out, but God help us if one did, because that would be the worst storyline you've ever seen. Yeah.
True.
Plus, it devalues both products for each of those publishers, and I don't care whether Valve care or not. They do care, trust me. They wouldn't want to see their product devalued by potentially being in an audience where maybe there are more people watching the other game, and the same the other way around. And I totally understand that. Why would they want to do that? So we certainly won't put them in that position. Have we ever been given a directive from either of those that said you cannot do it? No, absolutely not. But will we do it? No, because it doesn't make any sense. It literally is business suicide.
Yeah, no, I
see that. I totally
see it from the business. This is what I mean. It's such a tricky issue because
it is.
If it was just down to sort of the pure esports element, which is the best games get put on the best circuits. And...
Well, come on, we had that at WCG, but that was back when publishers didn't give a fuck about esports.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we do have a question, and I know you kind of answered it, Paul, but there might be some other people that are wondering. But Risky Chris asks, subscriber, all the WCS streams are boring as hell with sub-only chat. While events like this is kind of what I'm experiencing right now, just putting in sub-only just for questions. While events like the recent IEM and TI3 last year were hyped as fuck. What's with that, ReDeYe?
Well, the WCS, part of the subscriber package is that you get to talk in the channel. That's part of the appeal of signing up. So if that's part of the appeal in signing up, then sign up. If not, then don't sign up. It's a perk of signing up for WCS. It's not something that we do for IEM or for obviously or what they did at the international. It's as simple as that. I totally understand the people saying, it's a bit like going to a football match and you're the only guy that's paid for a ticket and everyone else has to stand outside and you don't get much atmosphere. But that's bullshit because you all get to watch the same match and it doesn't affect the show that you're watching. So I slightly disagree.
Okay. There's a question here about Hero of the Storms. Let's see. Are the numbers higher or lower or than you expect? I guess Steven,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah. What does it matter right now? It's a freaking technical alpha.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really it's kind of early to tell, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're comparing
Once
it
the
maybe
game,
to,
like, comparing it to what?
to like, you know, Hearthstone when it came out. But Hearthstone was in beta when it came out. And it
Yeah,
wasn't,
so
you
let's
know,
compare
it's-
a completely different genre of
yeah,
game.
exactly.
What?
It's a totally different genre too.
How about
Yeah.
how about we compare it to League of Legends when it came out? How many people do you think were streaming it when it came out?
Yeah, I think we'll know
Exactly.
more when it comes into a more openish beta. I think there'll
Yeah.
be a little bit more information.
Yeah, and I wonder when that will be. I wonder if it'll be this year, actually. Hopefully it will be. So everybody gets a chance to play it. Let's take one more. We'll take one more from here, and then we'll switch it off. Everybody's like dying when I switched it to sub only. Jeez.
Yeah, wait until they turn it off.
Uh-oh.
I know. You asshole! You like silence me. Okay.
I reckon you'll get at least one sellout.
Oh.
Can we do this more often? To be honest,
Can we do this?
I'm not even kidding. Like this chat's like fucking day and night to this shit I usually see. This is brilliant.
Okay, so.
Oh, what does Paul?
What?
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, what does Paul have to say about ESL's handling of WCSNA?
Oh, okay. We know. Yeah, that's. We don't have a. Oh, actually, is that a question here? Right. Oh, yeah, that is a question by Amramito. Amramito.
I mean, we haven't handled it yet. We've done a couple of shows, and we did so at very short notice. And we got asked if we'd like to step in and help out, and we did. And you know, I'm not looking to get any thanks for that, for us doing that. We're a business, and we see that we think we can make profit out of it eventually, but it's certainly not a profit maker to start with. Otherwise, why do you think it would have been given up? So
Sure.
I think we've handled it as well as we can do, considering the short amount of time we had to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, season one, absolutely not ideal, but we will do our absolute best to give it as much love as we possibly can in season one. And I've seen the shows that we're going to be putting together. I'm confident that it will, you know, there'll be great shows. And then for season two, we can start to look at, you know, giving it its all from the start of the season.
You don't have to say if you can't, but did y'all at least get a deal out of this? Of being like, I mean, you're kind of rescuing them. I don't know who else they would go to do WCSNA if it wasn't you guys right now. Honestly, I mean, maybe Red Bull. I don't even know. MLG again, but
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the deal. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've not read through any of the contracts or anything else. It's not really my job.
Yeah.
Bashi does that for us. It's not like, you know, Blizzard are going, here's a couple of $1 million, can you run WCS America? Because
Right.
like I said, if they were doing that, then don't you think NASL would be carrying on? These are structured deals in a way which is, you know, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, and hopefully we'll help each other to make them profitable. And they aren't there yet, but we believe they will. We believe that it's a fantastic product, and we also believe that we can put the shine on the North American stuff at WCS just the same way as we delivered, in my opinion, probably the best production on any of the regions in 2013 in Europe.
yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. Okay, well let's turn off subscriber mode and see. And,
Here it comes.
Hold on, let me turn it off.
Oh god.
How do I turn it off? Chat.
Wait for the sellout.
Here we go. All at once. It's coming. There we go. All right, subscriber, you can talk now, guys. Free. There we go.
There's the sellout.
Got a question for Steven from North Spectre. Oh yes, no work tomorrow, so I can watch all. Here's hoping for a long episode full of Russells. Also, question for Destiny: When will you play an MMO where you pretend to be a female and take advantage of horny teens to get a bunch of free shit? You previously stated that you would make such a good gold digger. I'd watch the crap out of that.
I mean, it's impossible to do, unfortunately, now, because people would know. But yeah, maybe someday. I would have to like set aside and do YouTube vids and shit for that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that.
What character would you play from any game?
I don't fucking know. Whatever the probably support healer is, because that's what girls like to do. And I'll find a strong guy that seems like he's emotionally vulnerable, and I'll
Wow.
ask him for shit when I'm fucking
Wow,
healing all
that's
day.
okay.
Fucking
Well,
run out in
that's
front like a retard
stereotyping
and
at all.
get killed like 10 times in a row, and I'll start crying and be like, oh, this is so bad. That was like the last paladin holy knight armor that I could afford, and now I'm completely broke as fuck. And
Oh man. Okay, all right, that's a good answer. Let's see if there's anything. Is there anything else in Reddit here that's kind of interesting? Oh, here's a question. Okay, last one. DNA 61289. He mentions Crip because so Crip made this recent video about sponsorships where he said that Artosis told him that, or Artosis told Crip what is wrong with or Crip was what is wrong with esports by using products that he likes instead of the one he gets sponsors for. What are your thoughts on just accepting sponsors from anyone? And Artosis.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, like Crip. Just to give you some background, Crip in the past. Ooh, lost video, guys. Can you start your camera? I don't know why, but basically, Crip, had a video. And he was just basically saying that in the past he hasn't really, or he's been reluctant to sign sponsorships because he's always wanted to sign sponsorships with the things he uses, and that sort of thing, and things like his keyboard happen to be a different company than like what he likes with his headset and that sort of thing, right? So what are your thoughts on that? Because he's kind of changing his views on this, I guess, to some extent.
I've actually had a lot of conversations recently. I've never really had a direct sponsor, so this is a slightly odd conversation for me. But I've had many approaches for different things before, either asking for endorsements or, if we send you a bunch of stuff, will you tweet for us and stuff like that. So But I'm ultra cautious about that because I'm kind of like Crip. I like what I like. And so I have a TT Sports keyboard right in front of me right now. No, I'm not sponsored by TT Sports, but it's a perfect mechanical, the right size. I love this keyboard to death. And they send it to me free. But that's not to say I endorse them or I endorse their products or that they sponsor me. If Roccat came to me now and said, we want to sponsor you with our keyboard, for example, not that I have anything against Roccat, but I wouldn't use that keyboard and therefore I wouldn't accept the sponsorship. So for me, I think as personalities and as players and commentators, I think we have to be very careful. Sometimes it's out of our control because it's team-based, but we recently had some stuff with a couple of the big-name talents at ESL that were approached by a laptop company who wanted to give them a laptop each if they would do specific amounts of tweets and Facebook posts. And I said to them, look, I've got no issues with it if that's how you want to do it, but just make sure that company know that if you don't like that product, then you need to send it back and you don't make those tweets. You've got to be honest with your followers, because otherwise you are a sellout and you're not really doing anyone a service either, because that's just literally telling people that you've got a free laptop and it's really cool. Well, of course it's fucking cool because you've got a free laptop. So
right.
I think one of the things with that is as well, like you've got to be aware of the mechanics of what sponsorship does and why we have sponsorships. It is effectively a tacit form of endorsement, and people will say, oh well, obviously not me because no one gives a fuck, but Richard Lewis has a CM Storm keyboard, right? And I like his articles, and they must be that good because he types it out on that keyboard. So I'm gonna go and buy that keyboard. Okay. Now I may not even tell them to do that, but because they want to be Richard Lewis, and again, this is fantasy, guys. No one wants to be me. Just let me have this moment. They might go out and fucking buy the keyboards without me even telling them to do so, and that's the benefit to the business. So I think you've got a responsibility to not endorse shit. It's that simple, If there's a headset with a spike that pops out into your ear and it kills 1 in 40 people who wear it, it doesn't matter what they're paying you. If you endorse it, that's a horrible thing to do. Same if we all know what brands of headsets are shittily made and break to after 5 wears, and within 6 months the mic's gone and blah blah blah. We all know what headsets are bad and what aren't in the industry, and yet I see so many top players like, oh look at me, it's like, dude, I know you call that headset a piece of shit. And
which headset brand are we talking about here, Richard Lewis? That's a piece of shit.
Did you not find it interesting, Richard? In the CS:GO tournament, that there were a ton of guys using Fnatic mouse pads but didn't play for Fnatic and were sponsored by a different company.
No.
Yeah. I mean, but this is
it's
exactly. Yeah, this is exactly one of the things that crops up from time to time. I mean, I people forget in another life I used to be an organization manager. I managed Z-board back in the day.
Z-board.
Z-board, right? Okay,
Z-board.
Z-board. I was converting it for the Americans.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, but come on, don't. Let us have our language for 5 minutes, Paul. All right, but okay. So, right, I used to manage them, and they used to make those keyboards. You know, those awful noob keyboards where it's like they just bind macros to buttons, and for the World of Warcraft one was the best seller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, now they're a piece of shit. They're a piece of shit. And our managers at Ceratec used to insist on our players using the keyboards, and we'd be like, "Oh my fucking god!" And it was like being kids sneaking into the kitchen and taking biscuits out the cupboard and hope no one would notice, because we would get real keyboards out, we'd play our games, and then when the Ceratec sponsor came around to see what we were doing, or someone was taking photographs, we'd change back because we didn't want to get busted. But we had no faith in the product whatsoever. But was there another company? Well, we didn't have the option because we were called Team Z-board or Z-board, but we didn't have that option. But, was there another company that was going to give a bunch of pissheads £6,000 to go to a tournament and rent us an apartment in the middle of nowhere? No. And when I was manager of smaller organizations, some of the things I had, there was a company called Muffin Mouse. Anyone remember Muffin Mouse? They were mice in the shape of a muffin. Right, and they were horrible. You had to hold them like this, and it was we've come up with this new genius way of ergonomically, so because if your hand is like a wretched mangled claw, you're going to play better for some reason. That was their theory. So they tried all the big organizations, and no one had touched them. And me being super cool manager of the year, I was like, we'll take all your money. And then they were like, by the way, we want your players to use the mics in tournaments. When we did it one time, and it was a fucking disaster. My players were just in my ear all the time. This mouse is shit. It's absolutely horrible. I probably just violated an NDA, by the way, telling you this.
Nice.
But I don't think the awesome power of Muffin Mouse is going to be around to sue me. Hopefully, they've not been amalgamated by a real company. But this is what I mean. So look, I get it. When you're climbing the ladder, you may feel the need to sign any. I know, another plug.
Another plug.
Yeah, for the dead show, the one
show that happens once.
The one that died with John
months.
Clark's esports career.
Now we're swinging low.
I love you, John. Right. Low. So anyway, so I get why people, when they're coming into the business, need to sign any old shit. But once you become a personality and you're a real person and your endorsement counts, it's not about getting you to the event so you can compete. It's about you competing at the event and people seeing you, what you're using, and then wanting to emulate you because you're an icon. Once you're at that stage, I think you've got a responsibility to be ethically sound and not just a money-grabbing piece of shit.
Steven, haven't gotten your thoughts on this. I mean, I guess the question to you is that is everything that you're promoting right now something that you like?
It just depends on the kind of image you're going for. If there are a lot of people who will endorse products, and I'll never believe a single thing they endorse just because I know the kind of image. For instance, like EG. Every EG sponsored, it doesn't really mean anything to me because it's EG. Like, I know they have their sponsors. I don't know anything about any of the players. I don't know if any of them know anything about the tech they're advertising. Same thing with major events. For major events, no offense to Paul or whatever, but just like me personally, like if I see a major event, usually I'm not gonna give much credence to those sponsors either, just because they're the people that can throw the money at the event. Now, that's not to say that I might, if I don't know any better, I might give money to that organization over another, just because they do support the event, and that's cool. But usually, most people, when they go for sponsorships, it's just what they get. Like, what can they get money out of, I think, is like the usual approach to it. I know that everybody looks at that as kind of like the sellout, blah, 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 but I think that's usually the typical approach, is just whoever wants to pay the most amount of money, and then you just kind of start using their products and go with that.
But then, Stephen, I'm much like you. I honestly, I'm very anti-marketing in a weird way, but I will look at an event.
Anti-what?
And just anti-marketing. But
okay.
in a kind of weird, like, personal way in terms of the way I use it. So, for instance, if I look at an event and just because it's sponsored by Intel doesn't mean I'm going to go out and go, you know what, Intel are awesome, I'm just going to go and buy their products. I'm not blind like that, I will still need to have some reassurance. I still want to know whether their product's good.
Right.
The fact that we work with Intel on one of our products, and I happen to enjoy their products, not that we've got much choice, but they do some fantastic CPUs. And I've got 3 PCs, and they're all loaded with Intel CPUs, as you would expect. But that's not because they sponsor a tournament I work for. It's because they're damn bloody good products.
I'd
be quite happy to say on this program that actually my laptop's powered by AMD, if it actually was powered by AMD, if it was a bloody good product. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not directly sponsored by Intel. I just happen to work for a product that does. And the same with BenQ, funnily enough. I went out and bought a BenQ monitor, not because Grubby was supported by them or because they sponsored, a team like Gambit. Yes, that was my awareness. That's what they paid for. They didn't pay for me to go out and buy their products. They paid for me to be aware of their products. And because I'm aware of them, I'm more likely to go and check them out because I'm like that. So I went out and checked this BenQ monitor out, and actually it's a damn bloody fine piece of kit. It's the best monitor I've ever owned. Did I do it because I like Gambit and Grubby? No, but they made me aware that this monitor exists. And that, for me, is the key for technology sponsors in esports. They should be there to make people aware of their products if they're damn good products. And if they're not, they'll soon get found out because we are the most critical bunch of bastards in the world.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to be it for the questions today. Thanks for all you guys that submitted them via Reddit or just in stream chat just now. But great show, guys. What?
Sorry, I should probably specify. I make the majority of my money off of other things like my Amazon affiliate marketing and my subscribers and whatnot. So I have the luxury of being able to go out and for my sponsors, I usually pick my stuff out, and then if I like it, then I'll harass them until they sponsor me. Typically that's how it works with all my stuff. That's why I have the Ting set up and the Dollar Shave Club stuff, which has worked out pretty well for me. I've gotten a decent amount of money from that, or more importantly, a decent amount of people that use them. I'm sorry, I should say that so that everybody doesn't have the impression that I'm only using stuff because of the reasons.
Well, I guess here's a better question: sponsors have you turned down?
Like huge ones,
like big ones,
many.
Ones that are actually
one or two, kind of biggish names, I think it's probably taboo to name them, but everybody knows, I had a keyboard from one that was kind of interested, but I hated the keyboard, so I was like, fuck that. Maybe it's just I hated red switches, I don't know. But like I said, I don't make the majority of my money through sponsorships, and I will never, ever, ever do a hardware sponsorship because it's a fucking waste of my time. It's a ripoff. Nobody in fucking esports anywhere, unless you're setting up a tournament where you need 50 systems. I don't think teams should go for hardware sponsorships because it's fucking $20 to make 15 keyboards and shit. I don't know. I think that's kind of dumb. That's just me personally. Whatever. Yeah. I guess they can help out bigger teams. Actually, I'm speaking from an individual level. I'm sorry. I guess if you've got a big team and you need 20 keyboards or something, it's probably an okay deal to go for a hardware sponsorship. But I always try to push for money. The biggest disappointment that I've had so far in my sponsorship life is I really, really, really want to stop wearing these Sennheiser headsets because a lot of people have messaged me telling me that they've bought these Sennheiser headphones. And Sennheiser won't fucking sponsor me. I sent them an email last year about it, and they said they weren't looking for anything else in 2013. Maybe I should harass them again, but I really, really, really like these headphones. Obviously, I've had them for 3 years, and I treat them like shit. I think I've rolled over these 5 times on my chair. I've stepped on these. I've thrown them on the floor when I've got mad in games, and they're still
that's the trouble,
A-okay.
though, Stephen. That's the trouble. You're the greatest advert for Sennheiser headsets anywhere because A, you bought them, and B, you abuse the shit out of them, and you're still wearing them. Why the hell would they pay you editing?
It's free advertising, man.
It's like a DOS keyboard all over again.
Exactly.
I love your product so much. I stamped on it 5 times today. Yeah. Please, can I have a sponsorship deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pictures of Nathan wearing them, man. What a terrible fucking. I should just duct tape the outside of them, and I'll write Razer Siberia XXYZ, whatever the fucking gaming headsets are called.
Oh my god. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap the show. Great show. I expected this one to be long, and sure enough, it was. I think we're 2 minutes from 4 hours. So really appreciate you guys staying up, especially you guys overseas. And ReDeYe, I know you're really tired, so. Big shout out to you too. But why don't we go into some thank yous and shout outs, all that good stuff. Paul, you want to start us off?
Well, I have a ton, but I'm going to keep them relatively short. I've written a big blog on eslgaming.com, so if you could head over there and just comment on it and thank some of the people that are behind the scenes for the weekend that you've just had via IEM and EMS one, that would be great. Everyone I work with, seriously, just so proud of everyone that work at the Intel Extreme Masters last weekend. Right down to the backroom staff, people back at base. We had editorial staff. We're doing 15 hours a day, 5 days, solid straight, and still doing long hours. And just everyone in the entire company just put maximum effort in to deliver a fantastic show. So really proud of you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Richard.
Shout out to Paul, because I know I was fucking knackered and I didn't do half the shit he did. So that dude is flagging because I'm still not fully recovered. So good to him. Well done to Totalbiscuit as well. He admitted he was wrong. It happened. Reddit, it happened. You made it happen. There's now video evidence.
Video clips on Reddit soon. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, but no, he's a great guy. Great to do shows with. Stephen, super intelligent, articulate, and motivated and animated and everything tonight, which was great. Chris, you for doing the show. All the people out there who listen to my inane ramblings, and all the people that use the website Esports Heaven, and even if you don't, it's cool. Oh, one other thing. Fuck, I nearly forgot. Right. You know how we've just been talking about endorsements and how you should endorse shit that you really, really care about? Okay, right. Well, here's something I really care about. There's this guy I know called ChanMan or ChannelMan or something, right?
Uh-oh.
Right now.
I don't even have to do this. Wow, I was gonna have to do this in a second.
He makes these shows and they're okay, and I go on them to sort of give them a bit of presence because I've got such a huge following, and he's not making a lot of money out of this. Like he lost some dumb competition to Day 9, and he really needed the money to make mortgage payments. And I'm really worried about him. I'm really concerned, okay? So he made these T-shirts with the last of his money. He took the last of his savings, and he made these T-shirts unfiltered, and it's got some dumb logo on it or some shit, right? And he's, sold a few, but, barely enough to eat, right? Now, guys, help a brother out. He's obviously not making a lot. He's not got a lot going on. Just buy a fucking T-shirt for him. I'm not even sure how you do it, but I'm pretty sure you can. But, do it for me. If you've ever thought, wow, I wish I could give Richard Lewis some money. I don't know why you would. But if you ever have, don't give it to me. Give it to this guy. He fucking needs it way more than I ever will. So, please, just do that one thing for me. There you go. That's my shout.
And I will add to the mountain of stuff like that, and officially endorse the ChanMan T-shirts, which you can buy right now in the ChanMan store. There you go.
What shirts? What shirts, guys? What shirts, guys? I don't know what shirts you're talking about at all. I'm not sure.
No idea.
Okay.
I know your children. Your children are sleeping on a bed made out of them right now. That's. Oh God.
What do you mean they're sleeping on them? They're making them.
Yeah, I was about to say ChanMan has the manufacturing right down in the basement. How am I able to sell these shirts to you at $5.15 a piece? Don't ask.
All right, Steven, you're up.
Check out all my referral links, destiny.gg/Amazon if you want to buy anything on Amazon. Wow, what an awesome link. Destiny.gg/Ting if you want to check out Ting cell phones. They're cheap, they're awesome, and the data plans are really cool, and it's a month-by-month thing. You don't get locked into a contract. For those of you with commitment issues, destiny.gg/shave if you want to be nice and shaven like I am today. I actually shaved last night. Yeah.
So good. Good.
Steven.
Check out the Phoenix products. They actually just recently made a new headset, which I'll probably try. There's no guarantee I'm going to switch from that to my Sennheisers. But they teamed up with, I can't even think of the name. It's one of those, 15-letter words, Behringer Dynamics. Do anybody know what the fuck I'm even...
Behringer?
Headphone. It starts with a B, and there's, an E-I-G-H in it. Does anybody know?
Gosh.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuned in from marketing anywhere, marketing companies anywhere,
guy.
we have the perfect guy to represent your brand. He knows everything there is to know about your brand, even its name.
Is it Behringer? Does that sound right? Behringer?
Yeah.
That sound like a real brand?
Behringer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think so by them.
Sure.
I think they teamed up with them to make that. So hopefully it's pretty good. I'll probably be trying it out pretty soon, and if I like it, I'll go with that. It looks really nice. I'll link it. It's called The Area. Wow, that plug.
Awesome.
And it comes with a mic that you can click to your shirt. Maybe Richard Lewis can look into getting one, so he doesn't sound like a fucking monster every day. Although whatever
I've got that sorted now.
Oh
I
shit.
got that sorted now.
Oh wait, that's it. Bayer Dynamic, I think, might be right.
Bayer Dynamics. That's freaking
It's like
totally different.
Completely different company, but
Starts
okay.
with a B. It's got a lot of letters in it. All right.
So first rule of advertising a product, at least know its fucking name, Stephen.
You know what? Anyway,
Right.
I was waiting for some
I
cool
was about to start
comeback
making
there.
some shithole country jokes, but then I decided that I don't know like where anything is going in my
Where you
future.
might be
like,
next
in
week.
terms of-
Yeah, that's
yeah.
probably a good
So
idea.
I don't want to like say something and then find out that like the group of people are about to fucking kill me or some shit. Oh, I got a lot of. I want to say thank you to all of the Poland bros out there. I actually got like 10 to 20 different responses on between Reddit and personal emails and whatnot from people saying, "Hey, thanks, Steven. I'm glad that you stuck up for us Poland bros," and that made me feel good inside because for once, I was the good guy on the end of somebody being an asshole to somebody, and I felt really good about that. I know how it feels now. Thank you. Although
You
I
didn't
think
have to give them Thorin's email address. though, did you,
Yeah,
Stephen?
exactly.
no. Okay, no.
You didn't have to do
All
that
right.
bit.
I'm ending this on a positive note. I'm not going to turn that around.
You sure you weren't reading Chairman's emails?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh yeah. I tried, man. I tried, but yeah, I just want to, I guess, round things off by saying, I mean, I thought I was gonna have to plug all this stuff, Richard, but I guess you did a lot of it. But again, guys, buy some T-shirts, subscribe to the channel. It's like I've been doing these shows for a long time and haven't. I mean, it's true. I haven't made any money from these things, so I think it's kind of getting to the time where I'd like to make a little bit more, at least to cover, just all these show expenses with the videos and all that stuff too. So, if you like the show, you want to support it, that's the best way to do it. Everything that you're going to get from subscription is going to be directly related to all my projects too. So it's the best way to support it is doing that more so than supporting a sponsor that I don't necessarily like, and that sort of thing. But I want a big thanks to ReDeYe, Richard, and Destiny, and also TB for having a great show. I love these shows, man. I love hanging out with you guys. I mean, I feel like the most entertaining shows always seem to involve you guys. So
Well, it's the thing is, it's just like mates going down the pub and going to
exactly,
the bar
right?
and having a few
That's what
drinks
the show
together
is.
in front of 3,000 people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's pretty cool. Sometimes it's not that cool.
Maybe. Guys, make sure that you stay tuned for ChanMan's Twitter. He's trying to get together the exclusive rights to the Naniwa reality show where we follow the life and adventures of Naniwa when he gets a job doing anything else having to deal with other people. It's probably going to be the funniest shit in the world to watch. If he really does quit esports and decides to move on to something else, I would pay a lot of money to subscribe to the
That's
show.
what all these shows are like building me up for is the Naniwa reality show, man. That's
Also,
what this is for.
quick shout out to Adult Swim's Rick and Morty. If you didn't see the most recent episode with the TV shit, you should check it out. It's pretty fucking funny. Oh shit. Okay, I'm done.
Oh my god. All right, guys.
Watch it on you have to watch it on Flickr or whatever the fuck it's on. What's the thing that kids use for the pictures these days? What?
Which one? WhatsApp or
Which one?
I mean, which one?
It's like a picture thing. It might be Flickr, but there's
Snapchat.
another thing.
Snapchat.
No.
Snapchat,
Like you go and it's just like all
Instagram?
pictures. It's
What's he talking about?
Instagram. I think it's on
Instagram.
Instagram actually.
Fuck
It-
me.
it's
Did I
either
get it
Flickr or
right?
Like
Instagram.
doing the latest
Oh,
thing.
you mean,
You're so
you mean
behind
the
the
thing that's been
times.
around for about 4 years?
Yeah, you're
and
so
got
behind the
bought out
times,
by
man.
Facebook. Yeah, okay.
Maybe, I don't know. It's either on Instagram or Flickr. Anyway, check the chat out. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
Follow us all on Twitter at ChanManV, at Stephen_Vanel, at Richard_A_Lewis, and at Paul Challoner. Also, the VODs for the first 3 parts of the show are already up. Let me link them to you real quick. You can check them out. The parts aren't linked yet in the comments, but I'll do that right after this, and then the last part will be posted too. But check out the beginning if you missed it right here, and follow the channel too. Best way to get notified whenever I go live, whether it's my stream or it's any of the shows. Tomorrow,
Oh,
The more
shut the fuck
subs
up now,
ChanMan
bye.
get,
what?
the better working conditions for children.
That's right, man.
Thanks for having me on, Tris.
Yeah, anytime, man. And Value Town tomorrow, guys. At Thursday, we're gonna have Gabe Walls, who's Magic the Gathering world champ, former Magic the Gathering world champ, who's playing Hearthstone now with Trump too, guys. Those of you that love Trump. But for Unfiltered and ReDeYe, Totalbiscuit, Richard Lewis, Destiny, and ChanManV, we will see you next time. Later.